Once upon a time, in a quaint little village nestled between rolling hills and sparkling streams, lived a dog named Ziggy. Ziggy was no ordinary dog. He was known far and wide as the silliest dog in the village. With his floppy ears, wagging tail, and a nose that twitched at the slightest hint of adventure, Ziggy was always up to something fun and mischievous. One sunny morning, Ziggy woke up with a twinkle in his eye and a bounce in his step. He had heard whispers about a magical place called the floating forest, a place where trees floated in the air, and the leaves shimmered like stars. Ziggy's curiosity was piqued, and he decided that today was the day he would find this enchanting forest. With a hearty breakfast of kibble and a quick lick on his owner's cheek, Ziggy set off on his grand adventure. He trotted through the village, greeting everyone with a cheerful bark. The villagers smiled and waved, knowing that Ziggy was off on another one of his silly escapades. As Ziggy ventured further from the village, he came across a babbling brook. He paused to take a drink, his reflection rippling in the clear water. Suddenly a tiny voice called out, "Hello, Ziggy." Ziggy looked around, puzzled. "Who said that?" he asked, his ears perking up. "Down here," the voice replied. Ziggy looked down to see a small frog sitting on a lily pad. "Hello, Mr. Frog," Ziggy said, wagging his tail. "Do you know the way to the floating forest?" The frog nodded. "Follow the brook until you reach the big oak tree. From there, take the path to the left, and you'll find the floating forest." "Thank you, Mr. Frog." Ziggy barked happily and continued on his way. After a while, Ziggy reached the big oak tree. He took the path to the left, just as the frog had instructed. The path led him through a meadow filled with colorful flowers and buzzing bees. Ziggy couldn't resist chasing a few butterflies, his silly antics making the bees giggle. Finally, Ziggy reached the edge of the floating forest. He gasped in awe as he saw the trees floating gracefully in the air, their roots dangling like delicate threads. The leaves sparkled in the sunlight, casting a magical glow over the forest. "Wow!" Ziggy exclaimed. "This is amazing!" As Ziggy explored the floating forest, he met many new friends. There was a wise old owl named Oliver, who told Ziggy stories about the forest's history. There was also a playful squirrel named Squeaky, who loved to play hide and seek among the floating trees. One day, while Ziggy was playing with Squeaky, they heard a faint cry for help. Ziggy's ears perked up, and he followed the sound to a small clearing. There they found a baby bird trapped in a thorny bush. "Don't worry, little bird," Ziggy said gently. "We'll get you out of there." With Squeaky's help, Ziggy carefully untangled the baby bird from the thorns. The baby bird chirped happily and flapped its wings in gratitude. "Thank you, Ziggy," the baby bird said. "You're a hero." Ziggy blushed, his tail wagging furiously. "I'm just happy to help," he said modestly. Word of Ziggy's bravery spread throughout the floating forest, and he became a beloved figure among its inhabitants. Ziggy continued to explore the forest, always ready for a new adventure and always willing to lend a helping paw. One evening, as the sun set and the floating forest glowed with a soft, golden light, Ziggy sat by a floating tree and reflected on his journey. He realized that the true magic of the floating forest wasn't just in its beauty, but in the friendships he had made and the kindness he had shown.